Okay, on the podcast, it's perhaps the most disturbing comments yet from Te Pāti Māori co-leader Rhetoric Waititi.
We will not support the colonial fiction that underpin and continue the continued obliteration of our peoples and our places.
Is it a call to take up arms, to fight on the beaches? How on earth are they really going to be constructive in any future government with ideas like this? Heavens forbid. Let's go.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, proudly sponsored by the Brothers Green. Unlock the innate power of New Zealand botanicals to support your mobility. Try the Brothers Green New Zealand Move Joint Support Tonic and join over 20,000 other Kiwis experiencing easier movement. For as little as $1 a day, you too can experience the power of New Zealand hemp seed oil for your joint health. Head to brothersgreen.co and use code DG20 at the checkout for 20% off your first order. It's a good one. Always read the label. Take as directed. Supplementary, of course, to a balanced diet. The Brothers Green, Christchurch. All right, g'day and welcome to the Editor-in-Chief. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome along and nice to have you. And please subscribe to the podcast. It helps us stay around so much longer. I'm going to play this Rhetoric Waititi clip and let you decide for yourself what to think. I have my views on this and I can't see how they can work in any future government. With talk like this, how can they be constructive? Let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so this is not entirely new from Rhetoric Waititi, but I hadn't seen it before and it was sent to me by one of our viewers, but it comes loaded with warnings and threats. And I personally think it's disturbing, threatening and deeply, deeply troublesome and worrying. Where is Te Pāti Māori taking its young followers? In many ways, they're radicalising them under our very nose. And this is happening on our watch. And I think it's my job to call this out and to point it out. This is where social media is so dangerous, and this is what Te Pāti Māori do so well. They reach their base of voters through direct social media engagement. It's not filtered by mainstream media, so there's no one in the way of it. They don't care about being seen in Parliament or in the media. They're connecting with their base away from broad daylight and in the wee small hours on social media. It's just direct engagement and connection with a voting base that is increasingly restless, unhappy and desperate for the system to change. These people lost trust in mainstream media and government institutions years ago. Te Pāti Māori, they know this, and they're talking and engaging online. It can be a dangerous, dangerous place if used incorrectly and inappropriately. And it appears Waititi's message, which I'll play shortly, is a call to arms in many ways by insisting that Māori will not continue to be compliant and complicit in the rape and pillage of Indigenous people and places and nations. It's hardly a positive message of coming together, and it's all in the interpretation. But if you're a disenfranchised or a disenfranchised Māori who feels left out and left behind and unhappy with your lot, then why wouldn't you find this attractive? It offers an excuse for your current plight. And conveniently, it blames the white man and colonisation for anything that's not so great. And by saying we will not put up with this any longer, what is it that you're saying? Te Pāti Māori has radicalised its language in offering to voters this term, and they're unrecognisable from past years. What does success look like? When all we've got left is Te Pāti Māori remaining in this country alone. That's the only people that'll be here. The rest of us will go. I think we are at a crucial fork in the road for race relations. I personally think this division, this them and us attitude at all costs comes with a hugely expensive price tag, and that's the collapse of this country as we know it. If Te Pāti Māori want this sort of language and this sort of view, then I wouldn't have thought that many New Zealanders will hang around. And if they get near power, I genuinely fear for this nation. And I'll call it now. There'll be a mass exodus out of this country. It'll be like nothing you've ever seen before. It'll be one-way traffic. Let's watch this Waititi social media post.
My name is Rhetoric Waititi. I'm the co-leader of Te Pāti Māori, the only Indigenous tangata whenua party here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. There is no honour in this crown. It is tainted with the blood of Indigenous nations, and the throne on which he now sits upon is at the apex of white supremacy globally. The British royal family are war criminals who continue to flaunt their illegality in the face of world politics, and under the guise of celebration, pomp and ceremony, ask you to turn a blind eye to the genocide, rape and oppression they continue to be responsible for. This crown, both directly and through its successor colonial governments, continues to be an illegal occupation of hundreds of Indigenous nations throughout the world. This crown has rained war upon every continent on earth, has inherited power based on stolen wealth, and is void of morality. It literally kills for power and has done so for centuries. to expect those climbing out from beneath generations of colonial violence and oppression to celebrate the British Crown's latest succession, you cannot ask us to be complicit in the ongoing rape of our own nations. This is happening in plain sight, in front of the world, and instead, humanity must require more of themselves than to expect Indigenous peoples to be complicit in their own colonization. We will not support the colonial fiction that underpin and continue the continued obliteration of our peoples and our places.
It's what he doesn't say, isn't it? It's what's left to interpretation. And it's the violent language and the language used to describe the coloniser and the government that's probably offensive. People like Christine Rankin, a councillor in Taupo, and commentator Ashley Church have both suggested to me that this ends in some kind of civil war. Now, you might scoff at that and say, oh, it's far-fetched. But Rankin says Taupo is already at a sort of a powder keg situation right now on race relations. And Church, who is well read and studied in this area, is adamant that the natural conclusion is the drawing of arms. These people aren't dumb, they're smart, and it's ugly. Seriously, this is a Māori party sending off emergency beacons in all directions, isn't it? And show me and tell me, who's the reasonable, sane voice in the party? Even Tamahiri, the party president, is a far more radical version of himself nowadays compared to, say, 20 years ago. His daughter's married to Rawiri Waititi, and Tamahiri now stands in the corner with Taku Te Ferris in his rant against a wider multicultural society. I just think that we need to look at these sorts of statements being made by Waititi and do not dismiss them lightly. It's part of the reason this party is successful. It's attracting a certain type of voter. That's why I'm calling it out. I firmly believe this is a serious electoral noose around the neck of Chris Hipkins, and that he has to be very careful here and probably has to rule out Te Pāti Māori in its current form, I would have thought. How could anyone expect Te Pāti Māori to be a reliable and trusted government partner with views and attitudes like Waititi's? It's time Hipkins came out and unequivocally ruled them out and put them in their place. This is now his problem. And the centre-right should be heaping the pressure on Hipkins to go further, hoping it only shows voters how weak he really is. But New Zealand divided on race relations is a recipe for total wreck and ruin. Let's avoid this at all costs, folks.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, it is time for some letters to the editor. G'day, Duncan, long-time listener. Love your work. This email is in relation to your teacher strike episode, Friday the 12th. Duncan, I'm married to a secondary school teacher who is a dean of Year 9. You have no idea how demanding of a job it is, especially for the ones in the middle of senior management. My wife gets emails at any time of the day or evening and phone calls from parents. Some of them are very demanding. The learning and behaviour needs of the kids coming through these days is crazy. There's a few 13-year-olds that are reading or writing at a Year 6 level, at a 6-year-old's level. Imagine trying to teach them anything in high school. In school holidays, they're having non-contact time, which means a lot of marking and planning. My wife spends at least one of the weeks doing the above during the annual leave of school holidays. If you don't believe me, ask some teachers to get in touch and talk to you about the workload. I wouldn't do what she does for $140K a year. And I appreciate that email. That is us, folks. Thanks for your feedback, of course. Thanks for your feedback. And you can send me emails to duncan@rover.nz. Always welcome your feedback and ideas. Brodie Lockie, thank you so much for everything you do for the podcast. Please subscribe, of course, and thank you, of course, to the Brothers Green in Christchurch. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. You're living it. This is the only one we got. So get it and enjoy it and take care, folks. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief, sponsored by the Brothers Green. Feed your gut what it needs. Digest Gut Health Protein Powder supports natural digestion and gut health. Made with premium Canterbury-grown hemp powder and a unique blend of active kiwifruit enzyme powder and kiwifruit skin extract, offering natural prebiotics and a nutrient-rich profile to complement a balanced lifestyle. Head to brothersgreen.co and use the code DG20 at the checkout for 20% off your first order. That's a good deal. Always read the label. Take as directed. Supplementary, of course, to a balanced diet. The Brothers Green, Christchurch.